Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritta.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamutirayet.
Tata Jayamudirat.
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nittam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Good morning. Happy to be here with all of you. Hare Krishna, Mother Vindhyavali. Glad to have one face here. So this morning, we are continuing chapter 17 of the first canto. Verse 14, we are hearing Parikshit Maharaj speaking very strongly some words to Kali, because as you all know, Kali was beating a bull, Dharma, and Parikshit Maharaj, as the emperor of the world, was very cautious to protect the innocent. And so he makes a very strong declaration in this statement. So we will speak on what it means to protect. That's the main theme that stood out for me from this verse. So that was what I would like to share something on. And I look forward to hearing all of your reflections so we can have some discussion afterwards. So we can recite the Sanskrit. Jane nagasya gham yunjan sarvatosya chamadbhayam sadhunam bhadrameva syad asadhu damane krite. Jane nagasya gham yunjan sarvatosya chamadbhayam sadhunam bhadrameva syad asadhu damane krite. Janenagasya gham yunjan sarvatosya chamadbhayam sadhunam bhadrameva syad asadhu damane krite. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Jane nagasya agham junjan sarvata chama madbhayam sadhunam bhadram eva dayad asadhu damane krite.
जनेनाङ्गस्य अघं युञ्जं सर्वसोऽस्य च मद्भयं साधूनां भद्रम् एव स्यात् असाधुधमने कृते. हरे कृष्णा.
जनेनगस्य गम्युञ्जन् सर्वतोस्य च मद्भयं साधूनां भद्रम् एव स्यात् असाधु दमने कृते.
All right, we can go on. I'll read the synonyms. Jane, to the living beings. Anagasi, those who are offenseless. Agham, sufferings. Yunjan, by applying. Sarvata, anywhere and everywhere. Asya, of such offenders. Cha, and. Mat bhayam, fear me. Sadhunam, of the honest persons. Bhadram, good fortune. Eva, certainly. Syat, will take place. Asadhu, dishonest miscreants. Damane, curbed. Krite, being so done. Translation: whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me everywhere. Excuse me. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in this world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. And purport by His Divine Grace. Dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive heads of state. But when the executive heads are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. When the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. As said before, it is the prime duty of the king or the executive head to give protection in all respects to the peaceful, offenseless citizens of the state. The devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless, and therefore it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. Thus, automatically, they will be peaceful, offenseless citizens. Then the only duty of the king will be to curb the dishonest miscreants. That will bring about peace and harmony all over human society. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pachari Nirvishesha Shunipani Paschati Deshatarine Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhi Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Translation again. Parikshit Maharaj proclaims, whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in this world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. So likely for many of us, when we read this verse, we think of Lord Krishna's explanation of why he comes to this world. He says that Paritranaya sadhunam, to protect the devotees, Vinashaya cha dushkritam, to annihilate the miscreants, Dharma samstapanartaya, to establish Dharma, sambhavama yuge yuge. He comes millennium after millennium. So in this same way, it's the duty of the Kshatriyas to protect the innocent, the sadhus, and to annihilate. That's a strong word, annihilate. To curb is the word that Srila Prabhupada uses here in the purport. So they are meant to curb or stop the activities of criminal-minded people. And when a king is able to stop the criminal people from harming others, then automatically there is all peace and good fortune in the state. And it's interesting that Srila Prabhupada says it's basically an indirect way to serve the sadhus, the devotees, by protecting them, by stopping the harmful people. So if a leader, if a kshatriya is able to stop the activities of those who will cause harm to others, then they're automatically serving and benefiting those who are innocent. So there are 5 categories of innocent people that should be protected. They're the Brahmins, cows, women, children, and the elderly. And so a king is meant to especially protect these categories. But the king is meant to protect, actually, I'll say not just king, because we don't have a king in the United States. So Srila Prabhupada says executive head, or our president. The government is meant to protect these innocent persons. And also in general, the government is to protect all of the praja. So not just the human beings, which are not even being protected today. So what to speak of protecting human beings, but also the government is meant to protect the animals, and not just the cows, not just the animals which benefit. Like, for example, there's campaigns for endangered species, but generally, why are those protected? Because we like them. Because, oh, the tiger is so beautiful, or the panda bear is so cute. But animals that aren't very attractive or aren't very useful to humans, there's no campaign to protect their species. So it's very self-serving to human benefit. So what to speak of protecting animals, the government is also meant to protect all of the plant life even. So we see that with mining and with clearing forests so this is especially prevalent in South America. The Amazon rainforest is being destroyed to make room for raising cattle for slaughter, and also for mining precious ores and jewels. And so the government is allowing thousands of, probably many more than thousands of ancient trees to be killed. There's one striking instance that I remember from Giriraj Swami's accounts of Juhu, where there was a tree just where there was an entrance to the Hare Krishna land. And they were thinking to cut it down. But Srila Prabhupada insisted that no, why cut this down if it's not necessary? So the protection of the king extends not just to these 5 categories of innocent people, but also to animal life, also to plant life. And so it's a complete protection of any soul that has taken birth in a body in the region of the ruling government. And so just to get a sense for what's going on today, briefly, I won't go on and on because it could become unnecessarily ghastly, you can say. But I think it's important to just recognize, I don't often think about the actual statistics that are happening today in terms of lack of protection by the government. So I was looking up some statistics in the United States. So for example, I was wondering how many people are killed each year in the United States, because the government is meant to not allow this from happening. And so in 2021 in the United States, 26,000 people were killed. And 21,000 were killed by a firearm, by some sort of gun. 26,000 people. in 1 year. That's unbelievable. And what to speak of animals? It's horrifying to think of, but it's in the order of millions of cows and chickens and pigs. So it's something that Srila Prabhupada would bring up on a regular basis and explain that the reason there's war in the world is because cows are being slaughtered. The government is allowing for these insane operations, these nightmares to exist. And so what to speak of protecting the innocent? Governments of today, India included, unfortunately. I was looking up statistics in India, and it's horrifying that there's so much exporting of beef from India. So what to speak of protecting? Governments now are actually promoting, they're actually allowing financial benefits for meat production. So it is a long way from the standard of Parikshit Maharaj 5,000 years ago, the situation we're in today. And so it's no wonder that there's so much anxiety, so much violence, so much war, because the innocent are not being protected and they're being exploited. Prabhupada says that there can be peace and harmony all over human society, and it's done through curbing the criminal people and through arranging to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. So that's a strong statement as well, isn't it? The Srila Prabhupada says it's the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. That's a very strong statement. The prime duty. And once they are able to do that, he says, then all they have to do is just stop the miscreants. Sounds pretty easy. So why is it that Srila Prabhupada says the state should convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord? Because devotees are by nature peaceful and defenseless. Because of uncontrolled senses, people in this world do criminal activity. Krishna says that Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyenam Iha Vairanam. That lust is born of the mode of passion, and it leads to wrath or extreme anger, and is the most sinful destroyer of this world. Mahashano Mahapapma. It's the Mahapap, the great sinful activity is lust. And so it's because of uncontrolled senses contaminated by lust and greed that force people to engage in criminal activities. And this is true for leaders of today's world, is that they have not been properly trained in basic civilized life. What to speak of sense control, they're not even able to follow 4 regulative principles. There was one Lord Zetland, I believe he was in England. This is when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disciples had gone over to attempt to spread Lord Chaitanya's message to the Western world for the first time. And he was interested, Lord Zetland, in what they were speaking. And he said, what would it take to become one of you, to become a Vaishnava? And they explained, well, no meat eating and no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. To which Lord Zetlin replied, impossible. So that's how people think. Even just yesterday, I was meeting a guest at the Sunday feast, and he was very interested in exploring different religions, very open-minded person, very thoughtful. It was his first time at the temple. He's a Westerner, and he was looking at the deities and asking me questions about the deities and was really appreciating the explanation that God can actually come in this form and we can serve him. So he was very open to all of it. And then he was asking us, do you all take vows of chastity? And we said, yes. And he said, for life? Yes, some people do. And as we talked more, he was understanding that, yes, if we are too much absorbed in thinking about pleasing the body, how can we ever focus on our relationship with God? The whole purpose of spiritual life is to fill our consciousness with thoughts of God, Krishna consciousness. And so if you are always thinking about bodily pleasure, especially sex pleasure, looking for someone to connect with and build a relationship with. And so he understood the point. But still, similar to the mood of Lord Zetland, he was saying, well, it's a gradual thing. I'm going to work towards it. So he's saying that he appreciates the ideal, but to get there is very difficult. So miscreants, this is an interesting word. Why are miscreants causing so much harm in the world? Well, miscreant, I looked up the etymology, and creant comes from like credo or creed, belief, and mis is something like wrong. So a miscreant is one who has the wrong belief. So what do they believe? They believe that Ishwaraham aham bogi, siddhaham balavan sukhi. They think that Ishwaraham, I'm the enjoyer, aham bogi, I'm the enjoyer, siddhaham balavan sukhi, I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. And they think that Kartaham, I'm the doer. And they're bewildered. They're in illusion. They have the wrong belief. They're thinking that this material body is me. I'm in control of it. And pleasing this material body is the purpose of life. And when one has this mentality, then even starting from a very small amount of hedonism, a life of simple sense gratification, it can balloon into a nightmare. For example, when I was growing up, I would take the school bus and I would learn about the older students, that they would smoke, they would do drugs. And I remember thinking of those things, my older sister as well, and thinking that's crazy. No way I would ever do that. But after a few years, by wrong association, those same things I was doing. And it started off so innocently. Oh, just one time, just to experiment. Let's see, it looks interesting. And so by wrong association, an innocent little questioning can become a nightmare. And so people end up becoming alcoholics and their whole families become ruined. they become gambling addicts, they lose all their money, and it can even get into much, much worse situations of using heroin and living on the street and just begging on the side of the road from passing cars just to get enough for the next dose. So this is the nightmare of material life, is that just a little curiosity, which actually began for us in the spiritual world. We were thinking, what would it be like? Why does Krishna have to be the center of attention? Why can't I be like that? And so Krishna creates this world for us. And although he doesn't want us to be here, he kindly allows us the freedom to try it out. And we get into insanity and this miscreant mentality, this wrong belief that I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, I can do whatever I want, and there's no consequences. In fact, Krishna explains the demoniac mentality in chapter 16 of the Gita, that asatyam apratishtamte. So these demonic people think asatyam, that this world is unreal. Apratishtam, that there's no foundation. Jagad ahur anishwaram. They think anishwara, there's no ishwara, there's no controller. Jagad ahur anishwaram. Aparaspara sambhutam kimanyar kama haitukam. They say that everything is produced of sex desire. They think that the whole purpose of life is to enjoy sex. And this is the mentality of one who is asura, one who is not godly. And so people think I can do whatever I want. And unfortunately, even leaders today are thinking I can do whatever I want. There's no consequences. As long, like the United States, the government budget is larger than all other countries of the entire world combined. So basically, there's this thought we can do whatever we want because we've got the power to protect it. If anyone wants to mess with us, no problem. And so we can slaughter cows, we can invade other countries, we can kill innocent people with drones and chemical weapons. And we see this happening in this war happening today with Russia, you know, invading another country in similar mood. So this is the state of Kali Yuga. This is the insanity of the Kali Yuga, which we are seeing manifest before our eyes, is that as a stark contrast to Maharaj Parikshit, who's explaining that actually people should fear him who are going against Dharma. Now, people who are going against Dharma are supported. I don't know all the details, but it's likely that cartels and mafias and these criminal organizations are, by their money, they're able to influence the government and they're able to stay above any punishment for their activities. So it's quite a hole we've dug for ourselves in 2023 as a planet. And so it is a grave responsibility for all of us here who are seriously taking to the practice of Krishna consciousness, because we have the way to make a solution to all of this. Unfortunately, the leaders of the world are not following Srila Prabhupada's instruction. What's the prime duty of the leaders of today? to convert everyone to become a devotee. This is what Prabhupada says. And so, because the leaders are not doing that, then we need to work extra hard to help the people of this world understand that you cannot be happy without a connection with Krishna. Whether you're Christian, Muslim, you connect with the Lord, you follow his instructions, you chant his names, and you'll become happy and you'll make others happy. If you don't do this, then you'll have uncontrolled senses, and a tiny drop of curiosity can balloon into a nightmare, and you can cause so much harm in the lives of so many people. And especially if you are in an influential position, uncontrolled senses not only destroy you, but destroy all of those who are in your supervision. So the Krishna consciousness movement is meant to, as Srila Prabhupada says, bring real peace and unity in the world by systematically propagating spiritual knowledge to society at large. This is the first purpose of ISKCON, to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, to check the imbalance of values in the world. So we are coming here on Zoom or in person in the temple, and we're discussing the glories of Parikshit Maharaj. And so we should pray to him, we should pray to Srila Prabhupada to have the same courage, at least a drop of the courage of Parikshit Maharaj, that perhaps we are not going out to announce that everyone should fear us who are causing harm to others, but more in the mood of Lord Chaitanya, through the holy names, through the weapons of the Mrdanga, the kartals, Srila Prabhupada's transcendental books, we can destroy the wrong belief in people's minds. Miscreant, again, wrong belief. By giving them the holy names, by giving them Srila Prabhupada's books, people's wrong beliefs are changed, and they will automatically become happy. They will make others around them happy. Like a COVID virus, when one person in a family or community becomes Krishna conscious, it affects everyone else. And this will bring real peace and harmony in society. So in whatever small way all of us can, in our social circles, at our work, in our family, in our school, we should try to somehow, some way, give prasadam, give the holy names, strike up a conversation and ask some open-ended questions about spiritual life, and help people to recognize that they've got the wrong belief. And there's a different way to see the world that can actually work. So I'll stop there. Dear devotees, thank you for your kind attention. I would love to have some discussion and hear all of your thoughts. Hare Krishna. So please, yes, Mother Shobha Radhe, kindly share with us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Thank you for tying everything up really very nicely. When I read the purport, I was thinking it's about how leaders should be leading if they take care of the offenseless subjects, then everything else is taken care of. And I was thinking more in terms of leadership. One question I had was, how do people react? You were telling me of, telling us of your experience yesterday with sense gratification, but when you talk to them about being a vegetarian, you talk to them about beef, how do they and how do you then help them see things differently? Because that's
Mhm.
another one, when you say vegetarian, they're like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
or that I am missing something.
Right. Yeah, thank you. It is one that I see resistance in especially Western people that I speak with, because they're so habituated to eating meat, and they don't yet believe it's possible to live without it. There's a few explanations I give. One of them is just on the health level, that there's so many studies, especially with red meat, that it's very bad for the heart if you eat a lot of it. So I was telling this person yesterday, at least regulate the habit. Like when I started to become a vegetarian, I stopped eating red meat for the first thing because of the health effects. I didn't know anything about the sacredness of cows, just from the level of health. And then there's the other argument about the environment, especially with red meat, that, like I was saying, forests are being destroyed to create land for cattle grazing. So it's destroying the environment to support the red meat industry. And then on a more subtle level, it dulls the consciousness to eat animals, because we are what we eat. So if you eat things like fruits and vegetables, then we are uplifted in our consciousness. And if we eat things that are dead and rotten, then it will make our consciousness dead and rotten. So those are a few arguments that I give Mother Shobha Radhe.
But when they are talking about needing to eat protein,
Yes.
and so they are also talking about health then.
Yes.
So I guess it depends on the audience. You figure out what attracts them. If it's the environment, you use the environment. If it is health, then you use health. But a lot of times it's like, oh my goodness, how do you get your protein then?
Yeah.
You're not going to get protein. And health also, I mean, I have been a vegetarian all my life, but I had a heart attack. So you have to be careful how, I guess, like you were saying, it's the audience, whatever is that will get through to them, then you use that. And you were saying, especially for Westerners, it's not like that anymore. Even Indians are absolutely resistant to becoming vegetarian.
Wow.
Because, and I think it's because, and I don't know, I cannot seem to figure out which way to go. The reason we should be vegetarians is because every soul matters. Every living entity matters. And like you were saying, the job of the leaders is to protect every living entity. That is the main reason why we should be not killing any living entity, not because it is good for our health or the environment or whatever. That is and that reasoning has been completely lost. And Indians are like, no, the here and now, we have one life. It's amazing how they think this is the only life we have. When they believe in the Gita, they understand that the Gita is the ultimate. But on the other side, they say, we have only one life, so we need to enjoy. And it's that disconnect that needs to be addressed, at least with the Indians. It's and they have become extreme. I know of family vegetarians, but they even when they have us over, they insist on making meat dishes because they want to prove a point to us.
Wow.
Amazing. So it's not anymore only Westerners or that Indian, it's.
Yeah.
You were mentioning the statistics. India is getting up there with beef export.
Yeah.
Acharya Prabhu has his hand up.
Thank you, Mother Shobha Radhe. Yes, Acharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thanks. I actually just want to second one point that Mother Shobha Radhe had, that like there's so many different reasons people may experiment with vegetarianism, and most who try it don't stick with it nowadays. But in any case, as she was saying, if it's not just that moral argument, if it's not just that how could you kill animals and eat them, then all the other things, of course, anything that stops a person from eating meat even one time is a benefit, at least to the animal that would have been victimized. But unless there's a real moral basis, short of, before one comes to the point of having a spiritual basis for it, then it's hard for me to be interested or impressed in that kind of vegetarianism, even though it's good that someone doesn't eat meat instead of eating meat. But unless there's a firm morality behind it, it won't stick, and it may be of less value in advancing in spiritual life. My opinion.
Interesting.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Acharya Prabhu. Yeah, I was thinking also, they need to get the higher taste to stick with it. So giving them prasadam that's amazingly tasty with paneer, koftas, and puris, if they can understand that you can have a rich, delicious diet full of whatever protein and nutrients you need, then it's easier to consider leaving behind a diet full of meat, because there's just not yet an idea that there is a way to do another type of diet. And yeah, I appreciate that point also. Acharya Prabhu was saying, once they start to grasp the philosophy to some degree, then they'll hopefully have that realization.
And if someone's eating, puri, halava, all these things, presumably they're also going to be getting in some way or another, some injection of philosophy from the devotees at the same time, presumably, in most cases.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada was very big on distributing prasadam. Lord Chaitanya himself also was so eager to distribute prasadam. So we should follow in their footsteps. And you all at ISKCON Philadelphia do such a wonderful job with the Sunday feast here. I've been to other temples, and the Sunday feast here, I must say, is at least the prasadam itself must be at least top 3. Might be the best. I might actually say it's the best.
Kalpesh Prabhu has his hand up, but on that prasadam note, I just want to add that through COVID, we had prasadam distribution going on.
Wow.
We had boxed prasadam that would be distributed. And then, of course, Rath Yatra, when, you'll see it during Rath Yatra also. Kalpesh Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. I was not able to hear the whole class, but I got a little bit idea. This was topic about discussing meat and vegetarian and all those. So while I try to do any devotional service, I try to ask them to read the Bhagavad Gita. Particularly, my audience are from the East, and they know about the Bhagavad Gita already, but somehow they are also, many of them are known to be a Brahmin, born in the Brahmin family, not really Brahmin. But now I am seeing lately is they have started eating the eggs, and then they consider that as a vegetarian and a source of a protein. That's number one. And my experience also is when we go to the doctor visit, they also force us to eat eggs, and they're recommended. Otherwise, you have to take a supplements to do certain vitamins. So, I mean, I don't know how to explain them. In that case, when we have this kind of practical situation, and all these doctors particularly promoting this, and there are so many nutritional diet plants, like people say don't eat, even drink milk. So
Hmm.
there are so many variations on those. Okay, how would we respond to those things?
Yeah. Thank you, Kalpesh Prabhu. I definitely had difficulty understanding and accepting that eating eggs is not okay to be a devotee. When I first started, I could understand meat, but yeah, why not eggs? Because you're not killing any animal, people say. The way I've understood it is that it's a waste product, actually, of a chicken. It's part of the menstrual cycle of the chicken, and it's essentially a dead body, the egg. Um, so why would you, if you could eat other things that get protein, why would you, if you can eat beans and chickpeas and dal, uh, tofu, and milk products, why would you eat something that's a waste product from a chicken? It's actually just gross if you really think about it. So again, I feel the higher taste principle here is the best weapon to stop people from these bad habits, to show them that you don't need to eat these disgusting things to get your protein and your nutrients. Just eat this rich, bring them to the Sunday feast here to show them what you can experience. Teach them how to cook, perhaps. Any other thoughts on this question? Yes, Kalpesh.
Uh, I think so. I also try to this very funny way I say that like how apples are hanging on the trees, like eggs are not hanging on the trees.
Yeah.
If you show me eggs are hanging on the tree tomorrow, I will also start eating with them.
Right.
So I mean, then they have no argument, and I do understand the hormones which you're talking. I didn't mention to them, but some of these doctors are really pushing very hard. Very hard.
Mm.
Even
Mhm.
I also experience in my regular visits, and then in that day
Mhm.
that okay, you have to take this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, science has prescribed things, and then a few years later, it realizes, oh, actually, that was really wrong. Trying to think of an example, like in early neuroscience psychology, they would do crazy things to the brain, which would just destroy the brain and consider it. And they were basically just experimenting. They didn't really know. So perhaps having a discussion about the speculative nature of modern Western science. What are your thoughts, Mother Vindhyavali?
No, see, I just want to say people have wrong idea too. If you don't eat the non-vegetarian or eggs or anything, how are you surviving? I always used to say since from childhood we are surviving like that, and you are missing a lot. In my workplace, they used to say you're missing a lot. I said no, and I didn't taste it. I don't feel like I'm missing a lot. But when I cooked in vegetarian somewhere sabji, and at lunchtime we all sit together and eat. She said, "Oh, it smells so good." I said, I gave it for a tasting. And she tasted that vegetable. And that particular vegetable, eggplant, she said, no, I never eat eggplant. But, she was eating that. And she said, it tastes so good. I said, did you see this? You never ate. That's why you didn't know. But you don't like it, you said. But now you're eating and you're liking it. The same way, if you don't taste it, you don't feel like that you're missing. But if you taste also, try other things and you might be liking it. The same way, anything, prasadam, same way, if you go to temple, you never went to that temple. A lot of people, they said, now recently we did book distribution. A lot of people, they said, no, we don't know where the temple is. So just I gave the address and you try. You go there and then try to see Sunday. You try to enjoy the feast and meet people, what their ideas. You can see how many people come to the temple and how many people are liking that. So one day you will be doing that. And like you said, in a very young age, you were trying that smoking and those things. But that is the association. So when we have bad association, we try to get that one. We try to have a good association. Try to go and enjoy that. That's what I feel. And a lot of times, like you said, even in your class also, you said trees and animals. Yeah, those are also our next births. We don't know what our next life is. Might be a tree. I always watch the trees in my backyard. Oh, how they are standing in the cold weather and without saying anything. I sit in the house and I say, I'm feeling so cold. But they were standing there. And after when time comes, they will give you fruits and vegetables and flowers. Who said that? That is some divine this thing. We enjoy. And then animals you're talking about. Animals also. And those tigers and other things. Why are we going to that zoo and somewhere to watch all those animals? Enjoy. Forest, we go there and then we see. And we want to enjoy the animals and how they are going, how they are walking. Elephants, and if they come in front, we cannot stand. But we want to watch and enjoy. Why are we killing them? A lot of things, animals, trees, and everything in the nature. God has given this, like us. So that's what I felt.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Hand up.
Yeah, Prananath Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna. I just had a comment going back to what Kalpesh Prabhu had said. If it is a doctor who is insisting or persisting that you should take, eggs or something, I mean, if you're not able to give an answer from a philosophical point of view, from our scriptures, then a simple answer that I have in the past been successful is to just say I'm allergic. And then the doctor stay away. And my kids, when they were going to school, especially when they were very in kindergarten and preschool, we would just make a dozen cupcakes and put it in the refrigerator in the preschool. So every time there was a birthday, they would just take one cupcake out and give it to my kid. So no questions asked, just keep it simple. They are allergic to eggs. They're allergic to onion and garlic. So you don't get into, sometimes you go the extra step and explain to them if they are favorable to hear from Krishna consciousness point of view. But if not, then just say I'm allergic. So then nobody can push you. That's my 2 cents. Yeah.
Nice. That's practical, Prabhu. Thank you.
And in the past, I've also because I cannot tell the philosophy, so I told I asked a doctor, I have a question. I see an elephant who is 100% vegetarian, and he has no protein deficiency, neither any deficiency. He lives a life. So, can you explain what science will tell about their life, like how they are generating protein? So they can. This is an interesting question. I don't know right now, but I will get. So
Yeah,
I have been asking that question to doctor to make them think about okay, why you are saying what you are saying and why you are saying what you are saying. So, but nobody was successful to give me that answer. Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you, Prabhu. And cows too. It's such large creatures, and what do they eat? They eat grass. That's all.
That's all.
They eat grass and they'll give milk.
Yeah.
That is the thing, That is why milk has a lot of protein.
Yeah.
Nutritious. Thank you very much, Prabhu. It's a nice class.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was very nice to hear all of you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful discussion. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for answering it.
All right, if there are no more questions, we can end the class here. Thank you again, Prabhu. Wonderful class, wonderful discussion. We will meet again tomorrow morning at 7:50. But before that, 5 o'clock this evening will be the happy hour. So see you all then.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Vancha
Prabhupada.
Jai.
Yasya kripa sindhobhya eva cha pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Hare Krishna.